Chapter 51, The gullibility is written all over his face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Something's wrong. Why did her favorability jump 10 points just from a simple denial? Is it really that easy to win her over? Seriously, can she really relax after just a casual question like that? This world is messed up. She's practically got easy to deceive stamped on her forehead. Why would you even ask such a weird question? Lin stared, unable to help himself. Snap star. The black moth fairy adjusted her mask, revealing a pair of serious eyes, and said, because before we migrated, the elders specifically warned us that the creatures in this world are incredibly wicked. Many of our people were easily tricked by evil races and turned into pets. So, the elders told us to be extra careful when dealing with outsiders. To avoid being deceived, Lin was confused. So, are you a liar? She asked, narrowing her eyes dangerously. Lin replied, no. Good. The black moth fairy sighed in relief, pulled out a flask, took a few sips, and relaxed. Ding. Black moth fairies trust in you +10, Lin. That increases trust. Didn't her elders tell her to be more vigilant? She's trusting strangers just by asking. Is that even normal? You mentioned your race is migrating. Lin asked doubtfully. The black moth fairy glanced at him. The elders said such confidential information shouldn't be shared with unfriendly creatures, in case they track us. Are you unfriendly? I'm friendly, Lin said. Black moth nodded. Okay, good. Since you're friendly, it can't hurt to tell you. We're migrating, yeah. We're going to settle in the mountains north of the Hellfire Plains. There's water and food there, enough for our tribe to thrive. It's a good, spacious place. Right, he held his forehead. Lin thought to himself, he just unlocked methods for easily infiltrating, or destroying, this group. This level of trust is pathetic. If that's characteristic of her entire race, their survival in this world is an unbelievable stroke of luck. Lin rubbed his temples. So you're... The black moth fairy took another drink, wiped her mouth, stood up suddenly, and announced in a serious, pompous voice, I am the mighty knight captain of the goblin clan, and the first great knight to pass the trial. You may call me Lord Hehe. The direction my sword points is the direction my clan marches. With a sharp sound, she pulled out a pocket-sized sword, pointed it forward, and shouted. Pioneer of the goblin clan. Pathfinder of the great territory. Light that pierces the dark world. Leader of our long migration. Great Lord Hehe is here. I shall guide our clan to a bright future. The two stared at each other in silence, as crows flew overhead, adding to the awkwardness. The black moth fairy climbed down from the table, sat upright on the chair, sheathed her blade, closed her eyes, and said. Sorry. Got carried away. Lin was speechless. This goblin wasn't just gullible, she was also a little dense. It was a wonder she'd survived this long. I'm a bit confused, though. Lin asked, carefully cleaning the blood from his broken arm. Aren't the Hellfire Plains to the north? Why are you in Wandering Soul Alley to the south? That has to be hundreds of kilometers away from the plains you mentioned, right? That he had a decent understanding of the geography around Wandering Soul Alley. Hehe fairy closed her eyes, grabbed her flask, and said, please don't say strange things. This pioneer has been heading north and will soon find a new and vast territory for our elf clan. Lin touched his chin, thought for a moment, and asked tentatively, where's north? Hehe fairy stretched out her hand and pointed straight ahead, closing her eyes. Here. The direction my finger points. Lin said flatly, are you sure? Because the direction you're pointing is south. Are you positive you're not going the wrong way? Hehe fairy raised the visor of her helmet with a click, narrowed her eyes, and said, don't question the pioneer's sense of direction. I've traveled 2,000 miles from home, over mountains and ridges. You think I go the wrong way? My intuition is always spot on. Does your whole tribe navigate by intuition? Maybe. Lin was speechless. How far is your new territory from your tribe? He asked. Yaya Fairy closed her eyes, raised 5 fingers, and said, about 500 kilometers. Lin tapped the table. Let me ask you this, if the distance is only 500 kilometers, why haven't you reached it after walking 2000? Yaya the fairy froze, her raised fingers remained suspended in place, an eerie silence filled the room, she seemed to have suddenly grasped something incomprehensible that she had been overlooking. Finally, the goblin named Yaya said in a vacant tone, come to think of it, that does seem a little odd. Odd? Of course it's odd. What kind of deficiency do you need to have to travel 2000 kilometers in the wrong direction without realizing it? Her very survival was an insult to common sense. Here. Lin took a deep breath, he took out a compass from under the counter and placed it in front of her. This is a kind person's sympathy. I'll sell it to you at a friendly price of 200 skull coins. With this, you'll never get lost again. The fairy Yaya held up her mask, looked at the small instrument doubtfully, and asked, what's this? Lin closed his eyes. A compass. A mystical device that helps you correctly identify direction in the dark world. I sell these for 1000 skull coins, but for you, I'm letting it go for 200. It's pity. Ooh, the goblin named Yaya showed a curious expression, reached out to take the compass, and started playing with it. How do you use it? Lin pointed to the needle. See this needle? The direction it points is south. So if you want to go north, just go in the opposite direction. Simple, right? Ooh, Yaya Fairy, said, amazing. A simple and practical tool. Want to buy it? I do, ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the achievement, 100x profit. Congratulations to the host for gaining 200 basic experience. 100x profit, a special achievement earned by successfully selling any item for a price exceeding 100 times its cost. Permanent bonuses granted, intelligence +2, morality -1. Chapter 52 It's going to break down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The fairy, Yu, held a compass and said to Lin En with utter seriousness. Seriously, mister, you're the friendliest foreigner I've met. You're also the first decent human being who hasn't tried to knock me out and off me the second they saw a goblin. You're practically my best friend, ding. The Black Moth Fairy's trust in you has increased by +30, ding. The Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you has increased by +30. Lin. For some reason, these notifications didn't make him happy. He actually felt a pang of guilt, yep, I'm morally bankrupt, he thought. Lin En sighed, rubbing his forehead. Since we're best buds, I gotta give you some friendly advice. The ones who swear they're not bad guys. Watch out for them. The ones who promise they're not lying. Maybe they are. Don't take candy from strangers, don't let people sneak up on you, and definitely don't go home with just anyone. Stick to those rules, and you'll be golden. Click, the goblin, Yu, pushed up her knight's helmet and replied, equally serious, that's solid advice. I'll remember it. Ding. The Black Moth Fairy's trust in you has increased by +10, ding. The Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you has increased by +20. Lin. Yeah, right. She didn't remember a word, but hey, she'd managed to survive 2,000 miles from home, so she probably had some tricks up her sleeve, whatever. It's a one-time thing. I tried to help, Lin En's gaze drifted back to her arm. The dried blood had been cleaned, revealing savage tear marks. It looked like something had tried to rip her arm off in one bite. Nasty. What happened to your arm? Lin asked, genuinely curious. The goblin, Yu, closed her eyes. I ran into a giant ogre while adventuring. I just asked for directions, and bam. He took a chunk out of me. If this knight hadn't dodged, he would have bit my head off instead. That monster was way stronger than me. I couldn't handle him. Click, the knight's visor slammed back into place. hiding his face. Lin just stared. Okay, Lin En said, sighing. He put on his mask and gloves. Looks like you've already stopped the bleeding, but to prevent infection, you need a proper cleaning. Take off your armor, and I'll set up a mini clinic for you. Click. The goblin, Yu, raised her visor again, her expression earnest. No way. Knights never take off their armor. Lin En shrugged. Fine, keep it on. Want me to numb you up? Fair warning, it's gonna hurt like hell without it. Yu Fairy raised her mask again, equally serious. Nope. Anesthetics slow a knight's reflexes. And I have max pain tolerance. It's from years of knight training. Lin En said, impressive. You're only the second person who's been that brave around me. A few minutes later, in front of the operating table, the goblin, Yu, lay flat, staring intently at Lin En, who was holding two razors. Go ahead and dig in. I'm fish on a plate. Lin wanted to facepalm. This goblin always had to say the weirdest stuff. Lin En's expression turned serious. If you gotta scream, try not to bite off your tongue. I'm starting now. Ding, Lin En's scalpel flashed. The goblin, Yu, squeezed her eyes shut. Like I said, my pain tolerance is maxed out. Resistance to pain is at 100%. I won't. Poof. With the first cut, Yu Fairy's pupils dilated. Her mouth flew open, and a piercing scream ripped through the air. Poof. Yada. Yada. The goblin, Yu, sat bolt upright. Tears streamed down the inside of her helmet. Clutching herself, she started shaking uncontrollably. Greater than over equal to less than over equal to. Why does your knife hurt so much more than everyone else's? Did you use some kind of weird pain amplifier? Lin En closed his eyes. Forget it. I'm using anesthetic. Reject. The goblin, Yu, lay back down, gritted her teeth, and said through tears, my pain resistance is fully maxed. I have perfect knightly endurance. I won't. Poof. Aw. Poof. Yummy. Poof. That hurts. Be gentle. Too hard, qua. Sword skill +1. Sword skill +1. Didn't you say your pain resistance was maxed out? Stop squirming, or I'll cut something important. But. Even though it's maxed out. Every cut breaks through the max level, and it stings. Poof. I'm splitting apart. Yeya's gonna split. Greater than over equal to less than over equal to. I'm gonna break. Stop making weird noises. Van**. It's just a few scrapes. Sword skill +1. Sword skill +1. Yada. You're hurting me. I'm gonna die from the pain. Help. Help. I'm being torn apart. I want to go home. I don't want this anymore. Ouch. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Screaming, the goblin, Yu, bared her fangs and tried to bite Lin En's arm. Clearly, the pain had driven even the stoic knight commander to the brink of insanity. Lin En panicked. He used one hand to hold down the goblin's head, while trying to do a proper job of the debridement. Finally, he grabbed a rolling pin. And when the goblin opened her mouth wide, poof. He jammed it in, right between her teeth. Woo! The goblin, Yu, stared wide-eyed, fighting against the gag. Dan, bite down. Just a little longer. Almost done. Hang in there. 10 minutes later, ding. Your sword skill has successfully reached the intermediate level, and you have gained 300 basic experience. Ding. Your surgical ability has successfully reached the intermediate level, and you have gained 300 basic experience. Yu Fairy lay on the operating table, her head spinning, her dark eyes wide and vacant. Sweat soaked her from head to toe. Snap. Lin pulled the rolling pin from her mouth. he took off his gloves, satisfied. Alright, the initial cleaning is done. You can get up now, and we'll move on to the next step. The goblin, Yu, slowly sat up, her gaze distant. She shook her helmeted head, rubbed her eyes, and mumbled, "It's like a nightmare. I almost broke." Lin En washed the blood from her wound, closed his eyes, and said, "That's a normal reaction." Yu stared blankly at her bandaged arm, shook her head again, then looked at Lin, pointed at him and said, "You are the first man who can make me hurt so much. You have already left a deep impression on me, ding. The Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you is +20, Lin. Asterisk she's afraid of getting off the operating table asterisk." He squinted her eyes and picked up the thick rolling pin, looking at the tooth marks on it, she squinted and said, "You are also the first man who dares to insert such a thick thing into my mouth." Chapter 53 The Terrible Flesh Growth Potion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Black Moth Fairy's impression of you +50, Lin. Don't just say crazy stuff. Calling me a guy who puts his mouth on your mouth. That was obviously to keep you from biting me. You say stuff like that and people will get the wrong idea, okay? Lin stared blankly and forced a smile. Let's skip the small talk. Now for the important part. Your arm's gone. We can't just grow a new one, but it depends on whether you've got the cash. The goblin, yeah, said seriously. I can pay. I brought all the clan's money with me. Then, with Lin watching, she reached inside her armor, she struggled to keep her balance, then reached down her collar toward her chest. Lin's eyes went wide, what's she doing? Then, dishes, wrestled something out, thump she landed on her butt, and a huge bag of money dropped onto the floor with a satisfying clatter of coins. Lin, omega. And after that money bag came out, her chest seemed to deflate instantly. Fake. Here. Yeah, gave a thumbs up and said seriously. All the money's here. Enough to buy you out. That she opened the bag, it was packed with black skull coins. Lin. 1 black skull coin is worth 1,000 skeleton coins, and judging by the size of the bag, this goblin's carrying hundreds of thousands of dollars. Seriously loaded. She closed her eyes, grabbed a handful of black skull coins, dropped them on the operating table, and said, Enough. Lin goggled, he's dumb, squishy, loaded, and easy to scan. She's ticking all the boxes. Lin shook his head, clearing his head of those kinds of thoughts. He turned, grabbed the flesh and flesh augmentation potion from the cabinet behind him, and said with a smile. In that case, I'll treat you with my latest potion. You get what you pay for. This is top-of-the-line stuff. I'll only charge you 3 black skull coins a bottle. Sound fair? His potion was finally going to come in handy. The Black Moth Fairy looked startled, then shook her head and said seriously. It might not work. Because I've got a special constitution. My resistance to toxins is maxed out. That she raised a finger and said. Basically, poison doesn't work on me. And recovery potions don't either. So, it's a tricky situation. She pulled a green potion from inside her armor, and popped the top, poof a cloud of skull-shaped smoke billowed out. Lin. Yeah said seriously, like this is a poison potion that people use to kill fairies. I've been drinking it since I was a kid, but it doesn't do anything. She tilted her head back and gulped it down, clink the bottle hit the floor, the remaining potion smoked on the ground, hiccup that she wiped her mouth and said seriously, see? A powerful hallucinogenic poison has no effect on me. Any other goblin would be passed out by now. But I'm still good to go. Lin. This is a toxic baby. Lin said dryly, then why did you come here? To test my luck. Yeah said seriously, I don't mind the pain too much, but I don't want to lose an arm, so I'm trying to find a doctor who can help, maybe install a good prosthetic. Lin looked at the flesh-growing potion in his hand, then he smiled and said, okay, but we can try it out. My medicine is special. It might work. What do you say? If it doesn't work, no charge. Since it was made with the formula provided by the system, it should be different from anything in this world. He still had faith in the system. A few minutes later, on the operating table, Lin uncorked the potion, took a cotton swab, and dabbed it on the stump while Yaya watched with intense curiosity. It felt chilly, numb, and a little painful. Will it work? She asked nervously. She really didn't want to live with one arm. Prosthetics aren't as good as the real thing. Lin adjusted his monocle and said, wait. To be honest, this is the first time I've used this on a living thing. We'll have to see what happens. Huh? Yaya looked confused. She stared at Lin's serious expression, swallowed hard, and watched closely. Time passed. A few minutes later, Yaya sighed and said seriously, guess not. My body is too weird. My potion resistance is maxed out. If it's not going to work, can you help me with a prosthetic? But then, she felt a faint itching at the wound. She froze, then she turned her head and looked at her shoulder. Her eyes widened. Is that? Pink flesh grew little by little at a visible rate on the stump. Even bone was growing. It's working. She exclaimed. She didn't expect that. She knew her body, her resistance to everything kept her safe, but it also made healing a pain. Other people could take a potion and be fine, but she had to wait for her body to heal. She never expected this human doctor's potion was working. It's going slowly. Your resistance is interfering with the potion, but it's still working. Lin watched the growing arm. He grabbed a notebook. He recorded the effects of the potion. Yaya watched nervously as her arm grew, beads of sweat dripping down her forehead. Wow, amazing. Doctor, your medicine is incredible. So awesome. You're definitely someone who leaves a deep impression. You're good. Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you +50. Hold on with the impressions. Lin recorded the changes in the experiment and said, how do you feel? I need to record it. Yaya swung her legs and said, numb, tingly, and a little painful, and not just the arm, other parts too. Lin recorded. Anything else? Lin adjusted his monocle. Yaya said, comfy, I can feel my arm growing, and it feels like I'm getting an extra arm. It's weird. Lin recorded, then he looked up, but his eyes went wide and he froze. Behind the shoulder of Yaya, a gooey tentacle grew out of the armor. Sanity -10. Slurp. Slurp. Lin watched. The pink tentacle rubbed against her face, leaving a trail of sticky liquid. Yaya closed her eyes and shook her head, saying, hey. Doctor, don't lick my face. I know you're amazing and have made a deep impression, but you still can't touch me without asking. The Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you +5, Lin said. That. Chapter 54 New Year's Sale, buy one get one free. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bliss. Then, right before Lin's eyes, the tentacle snaked its way into her helmet. The Black Moth Fairy giggled, eyes squeezed shut, and started dancing around. Asterisk greater than over equal to less than over equal to. Stop it. That's so weird. Hold on, why are you scratching me like that? Cut it out. No. Doc, you're such a tease, ding. Black Moth Fairy's favorability towards you increased by +10. Lin's head snapped around. Hey, maybe you should open your eyes and take a look. The goblin, Yaya, popped her eyes open, and immediately spotted Lin standing a few feet away, looking completely frozen. She blinked, confused. Huh? Doc, why are you so far away? Lin said stiffly, I was always this far away. Yaya blinked again, then suddenly felt a strange sensation on her neck. Her eyes darted to the side of her helmet. Buzz. Yaya's expression went blank for a second. Sanity -30. Sanity -30. Then, all hell broke loose. A blood-curdling scream echoed through Wandering Soul Alley. Inside the operating room, Yaya was thrashing on the table, yelling, Omega. Tentacles. Why are there weird tentacles on me? This isn't right. Help. Hold still. I'll get it off you. Lin, panicked, rushed over. Help. It's going inside. Inside? Where's it going? Some strange place. It's so big in here. Lin was floored. Oh, man. He quickly pinned her down, grabbed the tentacle, gritted his teeth, and yanked it out of her helmet with a sickening plop, bliss, blip. The tentacle thrashed in Lin's hand, slime everywhere. The terrified goblin, her sanity plummeting, clutched her helmet, screaming hysterically. It's growing on me. It grew out of my shoulder. Just hold on. Lin, grabbed the nearest razor and pinned the tentacle to the operating table. He raised the blade and brought it down, thwack. The tentacle dropped to the floor. Yeah. Lin stomped on the tentacle a few times, squashing it. Yeah grabbed Lin's chest in shock, turned her head, trembling, and stared at the still-twitching tentacle. What the heck is going on? Lin thought, probably just a minor side effect of the medicine. Side effects? Yeah said, stunned. Lin closed his eyes. Yeah, the stronger the potion, the weirder the side effects. Since this super growth potion can regenerate your limbs, it's bound to create some extra stuff too. It's totally normal. Normal? Yeah said weakly. You're out of your mind. She grabbed her helmet, Omega, and pulled out the long sword from her waist, waving it around wildly. What kind of terrible potion causes tentacles to randomly sprout? This isn't therapy. This is a freak show. Right now it's just tentacles, but what if something even weirder grows out? I'm mutating. Help! Tears streamed down her face as she waved the sword at Lin, trembling. The tiny sword blade whistled through the air. Black Moth Fairy Sanity -10. Black Moth Fairy Sanity -10. Lin held up 2 fingers, pinched the tip of the sword, and gently pushed it aside. He narrowed his eye, serious. Don't freak out. They say the rich rely on technology, the poor rely on mutation. Okay, you're rich, but a little mutation never hurt anyone. Besides, you did mutate, but... Lin pointed at her arm. Didn't your arms grow back? Isn't that proof the medicine works? Lin's face was the picture of seriousness. But... Yeah said, it's freaking me out. Black Moth Fairy Sanity -10. Lin comforted her, dead serious. Don't worry, the doctor's here. Just relax, listen to me. No matter what weird thing grows this time, I'll chop it off in a heartbeat. You gotta trust me, ***. The boning knife in Lin's hand glinted ominously. Yeah clutched her helmet, blankly. Really? Lin nodded solemnly. Really? And don't you want your arm back? For the sake of a healthy body, what's a little weirdness? Yeah was speechless. Well, that makes sense, I guess, but why do I feel like he has some ulterior motive here? Okay, one last time. Yeah whimpered, tears still in her eyes. Lin gave her a thumbs up with a ding, high praise and recognition for her perseverance and courage. Then, under the Black Moth Fairy's trembling gaze, he applied another dose of the potion to her severed arm. Time trickled by, and then... a tail. I grew a freaking tail. Omega, chop it off. Chop it off now. ***thwack***. I feel it. Something weird is squirming under my clothes. More sticky tentacles. Chop 'em off, ***thwack***. Ah. Wings. I grew new wings. Huh. They're kinda pretty. Maybe I'll keep these for a bit. Thwack. Hey. Omega, I said I wanted to keep them. Why'd you chop them off? 10 minutes later, ding. Task complete. Your severed limb has been regenerated. You have earned 200 skull coins and 200 experience. Yeah lay limp, her arms, now perfectly intact, twitched slightly. Next to her, a wooden bucket overflowed with freshly chopped off appendages. How are you feeling? Lin helped her sit up carefully. Yeah said dully, it feels like, my whole body's covered in weird stuff. Don't worry, it's just your imagination. I chopped off everything that shouldn't be there. Hehe raised her trembling hands with effort and mumbled. Potions cost money. If you chop off those weird things, does that mean it costs extra? Lin's eyes widened, glistening. New Year's special, you get one free for every one you buy. Chapter 55, Survive to the dawn of the next day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few minutes later, Hehe Fairy stood up, dazed. Lin mechanically helped her with her helmet, slung her bag over her shoulder, and even wrapped up the bizarre bits of tissue he'd cut off, which she insisted on keeping as a souvenir. Perfect treatment. Lin gave her a thumbs up, grinning. If you liked it, give us a good review. We'll give you 11% off next time. Hehe Fairy clutched her helmet, near tears, and squeaked, thank you, boss. Can I go now? Lin En scrutinized her, his eyebrows raised slightly as he twirled the boning knife in his hand. He thought, something's not quite right. I don't remember her growing weird stuff the last time I gave her the medicine. Lin En hesitated. I'm a little worried you might have mutated somewhere else. Black Moth Fairy Sanity, 10, Hehe Fairy, no way. Lin asked carefully, do you feel anything strange inside? If you do, you should tell me now. Hehe hugged her helmet, confused. Doesn't seem like anything's wrong. She set down the package and hopped up and down. Her weight felt exactly the same. If she really had grown any weird tissue, she'd notice, right? Nothing feels off, she said curiously, puffing out her chest. Lin En breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. That's good. That means this potion doesn't cause mutations every time, which is a real plus. Thanks for your cooperation and experimentation. Hehe. Then Lin waved cheerfully. The little goblin sighed, flapping her wings and disappearing into the black mist. Lin En felt a huge weight lift off his shoulders. He, strode back to the operating room, ready to tidy up, wondering when he'd get another customer like that, but then, crash. The sound of metal clanging hit the floor. Lin En's ears perked up, he looked down and saw the bulging bag on the ground, and his face froze. Wait a minute, isn't that? He instinctively reached down and opened it. Suddenly, the piles of black skull coins inside practically blinded him. Lin was stunned. Hold on. Something's wrong. Why is her money bag here? If he hadn't just seen her breasts practically bursting out of her clothes, he would have thought she'd stuffed it in there again, but... If she didn't stuff the money bag in there, what was she holding onto her chest just now? Did the fake become real? Lin En's brain went blank. He grabbed the money bag and bolted out the door at an impossible speed, but the Black Moth Fairy was long gone. Lin En imagined the next time she tried to pay, the horrifying image of her pulling out a real appendage. Lin winky face, if that's really the case, he hoped she realized it soon and came back. It wasn't too late to reverse things before it fully formed. Clutching the money bag, Lin En returned to the counter, dozing and waiting for new customers, but for some reason, business was slow. Besides the Black Moth Fairy from out of town, only a few customers came in all day. As boredom set in, evening arrived again. Is the teacher still not back? Lin En glanced uneasily at the black fog outside the door. It had been 3 days. Even if something was holding the teacher up, he should have heard something by now. Lin paced back and forth. Sure, his teacher wasn't human, and he usually gave Lin a hard time, but in the past 2 years, without his teacher's help, there was no way Lin, a puny human, would have survived in this dark world, not to mention that without the teacher's guidance, he never would have mastered so many medical and alchemy skills. I hope the teacher gets back tomorrow. Lin worriedly stared out into the black mist. He took down the extinguished soul lamp from the pillar and was about to close up shop, but just then, suddenly, his pupils dilated, and a look of pain contorted his face. He coughed up a pool of foul-smelling, scarlet blood. The blood began to writhe and crawl. The ground in front of him twisted into several gruesome blood-red characters. Danger. Get out now. Whoosh, the 6 words vanished in a puff of green smoke after only a few seconds. Almost instantly, the system notification rang in his ears. Ding. You have successfully triggered the mission, Bloody Night. Mission objective, survive until dawn. Mission reward, 2000 skull coins, 2000 experience, special reward X1, special achievement X1, Lin En's pupils constricted, he quickly crouched down, frowning at the disappearing blood on the ground. Teacher. He recognized the message. His teacher had used some kind of spell to warn him. What was going on? Lin En looked up, frowning at the depths of the black fog outside, and at the same time as the teacher's warning, the system had triggered a mission, and the rewards were far greater than the previous survival quests. It was even more generous than the root monster incident. Which meant the danger he was facing was incredibly intense. What was it? Had the teacher run into something dangerous and now it was heading to Bloodsaw Pharmacy? Without a second thought, Lin En steeled himself and rushed back into the store. Blood and flesh growth potion, faceless demon heart, demon hunting revolver, boning knife, soul lamp. These were the special items he'd collected over time, his only safety net. He wasn't going to stay. If the teacher had sent a warning, it meant staying was a death wish. I'll go to the blood clothes evil spirit's place for the night. Sure, she might violate me, but that's still safer than staying here. Lin En packed up, raised his head, and stepped out the door. Whoosh. A cold wind howled from the depths of the black fog. Lin En's foot froze mid-step. In the black fog, a huge shape slowly materialized. Thump, thump, then came a series of footsteps that seemed to make his heart explode. The dark fog began to turn a bloody red, and an overwhelming, pungent smell of blood washed over everything. Warning! Warning! Risk level to you has increased to 100%. Warning! Warning! Chapter 56 Flesh Puppet, Hellwalker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For a moment, Lin bolted back into the store, gritting his teeth as he slammed the door shut. His eyes darted around, and the soul lamp in his hand swayed wildly, nearly going out. This is it. He was trapped. He hadn't expected things to escalate so quickly. The system's warning was crystal clear. The danger was aimed directly at him, or rather, at Bloodsaw Pharmacy. If I can't run, I'll have to fight. Lin gritted his teeth. Without hesitation, he raced into the backyard and locked the door. Boom. The front door of the pharmacy exploded, and a wave of blood-red mist surged in. Now that the soul lamp was gone, a massive shadow stretched across the hall floor. The stench of blood filled the air, like a waterlogged corpse dragging itself along the ground. Boom. Boom. Heavy footsteps echoed. In the backyard operating room, Lin leaned against the wall, a boning knife in one hand and a revolver in the other, his face a mask of grim determination. The soul lamp was extinguished, night had fallen, he had no protection now. Crash, crash, crash. The sound of potion bottles shattering in the hall drifted back, one after another. Lin squeezed his eyes shut, his jaw clenched, the veins in his temples throbbing. 100 skull coins. Smash. 500 skull coins. Crash. 821 skull coins. Each time a bottle broke, a number flashed in Lin's mind. It wasn't fear, it was pain. It was all small change. Little round coins. Worth more than life itself. Lin narrowed his eyes. Direct confrontation was suicide. The mere aura that thing emitted had made his heart feel like it was about to burst. That was a clear indication of its power. His only hope now was that it wasn't too late. Blood robes. Without a second's hesitation, Lin reached out, gripped the revolver firmly, and his gaze steadied. She lived at 44, Yuhan Lane, right across the street. If there was still time, she'd pick up his signal and get here. Curse removal. He issued the command calmly. Beep. Would you like to remove the curse from Bloodclad Wraith and apply the curse-breaking ability of the Demon Hunter revolver? Yes. Instantly, Lin felt the evil ghost curse extracted from the Bloodclad Wraith begin to fade. The revolver in his hand started oozing viscous black fluid. Splat. The black liquid plastered itself to his palm, draining away from the revolver. The revolver emitted a faint glow. Beep. You have completed the curse removal on the Demon Hunter revolver. Cooldown, 12 hours, duration, 24 hours. Click. Lin snapped off the revolver's safety, squinted, and stood guard at the door. The curse was broken. which meant the blood-clad wraith could revert to her original form. That was his only way to send a message. He was betting she would come as soon as the curse was lifted. After all, he was the only one who could help her break the curse. Now, he just had to survive until she arrived. Then there might be a chance. Hoo-hoo, the foul stench of blood wafted from the hall. Lin could hear the sounds in the hall pause. Clearly, the activation of his curse-breaking ability had attracted the monster's attention. A shadow stretched into the corridor. Lin glanced at the long, distorted shadow outside the operating room door, squinted, and tightened his grip on the revolver. Boom. Boom. Footsteps again, closer and closer. The massive shadow crept towards the backyard. Lin held his breath, his eyes ice-cold. In the terrible silence, all he could hear was his own heartbeat and the heavy footsteps in the corridor. Inch by inch, little by little, the stench of blood intensified. Then, the footsteps outside the door stopped. Lin tensed. Thwack. A sound that seemed to bypass all defenses. Lin's pupils dilated. In front of his chest, a barbed hand had pierced him clean through, pinning him to the wall behind him. Thud. Lin's body slumped forward against the wall. The scarlet hand slowly withdrew, leaving no mark on the wall, as if it had passed through a ghost. The endless smell of blood permeated the air. Blood gushed from Lin's chest, staining the ground crimson. His body twitched. Boom. Boom. Footsteps, then, reflected in Lin's wide eyes. A huge, twisted figure slowly appeared at the doorway. What kind of monster was that? A mass of rotting flesh, crudely stitched together. No head, no face, just a giant, bulging eye squeezed out of the center. The giant eye dominated its entire torso. Dozens of normal human eyes were scattered around it. Different types of arms sprouted from the torso. Human hands, tentacles, animal claws, twisted limbs of evil spirits, and terrifying mechanical limbs. A monstrous, stitched-together abomination. Flesh puppet type 3, Hellwalker. Rank. Race, Stitch monster. Faction, chaotic evil. Combat ability, an unparalleled creation of immense power. Description, a cutting-edge creation of the Demon Association and the Inverted Hanging Tower's pinnacle flesh and blood machine. Its arrival brings only death and destruction. This ultimate weapon was created to hunt down rebels. It devours creatures to evolve. Never let it target you. Blood bubbled from Lin's mouth. He stared, wide-eyed, as the monster approached. Squish. Scarlet tentacles snaked out, piercing his legs like needles. Squeak, squeak, the sound of blood mingling with flesh. It was feeding on him. But then, the tentacles stopped drawing blood. Organism identification, human. Quality identification, low. Swallowing priority, ingestion not recommended. Begin cleanup. A harsh voice echoed in Lin's ears. Rip. The snake-like tentacles blasted his legs into a cloud of blood mist, but at that instant, Lin's shattered heart slammed against his ribcage, and a surge of blood flooded from under his skin to his wrist. A crisis response. Lin's pupils snapped shut, like a flashback. He clenched the revolver, twisted around, and gritted his teeth. He pointed the gun at the giant eye on the monster's torso. Bang. The demon-hunting bullet slammed into the center of the eye. A deafening roar. Divine power crackled like lightning. Its countless arms thrashed wildly, tearing the wall apart. Seizing his chance, Lin grabbed a scarlet cloak from his pocket and threw it around himself. In that moment, as the monstrous hand lunged, Lin rolled, his body sinking into the floor and vanishing. Error, secondary information identification, target is heavily disguised. Racial adjustment, biochemical human, advanced biological transformation. Ingestion priority, high, pursuit recommended. Chapter 57, Vertical Eyes and Tentacles, Whole Body Mutation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Basement, Lin En clutched the blood-soaked cloak covering his chest. Gritting his teeth, he pulled out a razor and slashed at his legs. He panted, sweat dripping from his forehead. Underestimated it. I really underestimated the enemy. Should have known better, facing a monster like this. There are a million ways they can track you. Experience. I still need way more combat experience, more experience handling crises. And if he hadn't thrown on the Blood Demon's cloak, at the last second, he wouldn't have made it. Blood Demon's cloak. Quality, rare. characteristics, hides your presence and lets you phase through solid objects like a ghost. Description: the unknown terrors of the shadow world inspire this cloak. Wear it to become like an evil spirit, invisible and immaterial. But be warned, while wearing it, you can't attack. Lin En gritted his teeth, clutched his chest, and stared at the basement door. Been getting too comfortable lately. Forgot what kind of world this is. Could die any minute. He spat, a mouthful of saliva stained with blood. He reached for the flesh-regenerating potion and poured it over his mangled legs and chest. Grinding his teeth, he twisted his neck. Guess having decent fitness helps in a pinch. Gotta thank the teacher, though. Without that surgery, I'd be done for. Creak, crunch, star. The flesh-regenerating potion took effect. His damaged chest and legs began healing fast. The goblin medicine works on ordinary people in unimaginable way. In seconds, Lin En's body was good as new. He stood up and moved his body that was falling apart. Almost immediately, a system alert chimed in his ear. Ding. Your body has undergone a level 1 mutation. Ding. Your body has undergone a level 1 mutation. Ding. Your body has undergone a level 2 mutation. Poof, poof, asterisk. 2 tentacles covered in barbs sprouted from his back. The skin on the back of his neck cracked open, revealing an upside-down eye. Ding. The system has detected 3 controllable mutations and is analyzing the target. Ding. Analysis complete. Flesh tentacle, linked to the nervous system, can be controlled for contraction and growth. Evil spirit vertical eye, connects to the optic nerve, can see through obstacles and detect evil spirits. Whoosh, star. Under Lin's control, the 2 tentacles floated in front of him, revealing their sharp barbs. He squinted, his jaw tight. Might as well test it out. At least that revolver packs a punch against that thing. After all, it was a demon hunter's weapon, a high-quality tool for fighting demons. Click. He unlocked the revolver. Then, Lin En, cloaked in blood, walked through the wall like a ghost. Using his evil spirit vision, Lin En instantly located the monster in the corridor. He focused, like a ghost. He passed through the walls, getting closer. Whoosh, star. A scarlet shadow flitted past the monster. The monster's eyes slowly rotated, scanning the walls. Its arms seemed poised to strike. Brush, star. A flash of blood appeared behind him. The monster's back split into pairs of eyes, staring into the corridor, but at that moment, its attention was drawn to the alchemy room door. Lin En's eyes peered through the crack. Gotcha. Lin En pulled the trigger. Bang. 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 .6 shots. 6 demon-hunting bullets pierced the door and hit the monster. Crackling. Sacred electricity erupted from the monster. The demon-hunting revolver had a strong effect on dark creatures, holy power being the natural enemy of most monsters. Lin En saw the monster's body freeze. The revolver was reloading. He would not get another chance to hit him twice. Lin En pulled out the boning knife. Just as he prepared to burst through the door, he saw 6 eyeballs pop out of the bullet holes. Empty eyes stared at him. A wave of panic struck. Oh, crap! Lin En threw on his cloak and phased through the wall. Too late, the gaze fell on his face. TSS. TSS, 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 A cry of pain. Lin En's face began to dissolve, releasing green smoke. That look was cursed. Gritting his teeth and ignoring the pain, Lin En turned and disappeared underground. Hush! In the basement, Lin gasped. He uncorked a flesh-regenerating potion and poured it on his dissolving face and neck. The red liquid seeped into his skin. His face healed fast. At the same time, the system popped up immediately. Ding. You have a level 1 mutation. Ding. You have a level 1 mutation. Crash. Lin En's shadow reflected on the wall showed 2 tentacles erupting from his back. Lin En ignored it. He used the evil spirit eyes to observe the monster. The bullets he had shot into the monster's body were actually being pushed out by flesh. The electricity was fading. After only 2 volleys, the monster was already adapting to the holy damage. Or did he trigger some new form to attack? That's not good. Lin frowned. His best bet was the demon-hunting revolver. If he was resistant to holy damage, even getting close would be a risky move. He calmed down. The temptation was not advisable, you must keep yourself rational. Need to get out of here and regroup. Lin made up her mind, he couldn't beat the monster in his current state. Without a word, he phased through the wall and ran. If you can't win, don't push it. Besides, he was a level 9, and good props couldn't bridge the gap. He had to listen to his gut. Lin En moved quickly through the earth, looking serious. At the same time, the eye behind him kept watch on the monster. Time passed, as he just left the Bloodsaw pharmacy shop. The monster flashed and disappeared from his vision. Is it blocking its own breath? Lin En's expression flickered. Buzz, starred at a terrifying aura washed over him. Almost on instinct, Lin moved. A hand crashed through the ground and grazed his cheek, wounding his face. It was the same hand that had pierced his heart before. Chapter 58. The final trump card. The Heart of the Faceless Demon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This thing could actually get to him even with the blood demon cloak on. Taiwan Novel Network. The bang, Lin En's body slammed onto the street and skidded for over 30 feet, clutching his bloody left eye. He gritted his teeth, rolled to his feet and dove into the shadows. Like a phantom, he kept moving, quickly pulling out a flesh regeneration potion and dousing his cheek. Walala. The flesh healed almost instantly. Ding. Your body has undergone a secondary mutation. Suddenly, his neck split open, and a new, sinister vertical eye appeared. Double pupils overlapped. Almost simultaneously, the monster's previously vanished presence exploded into the field of vision of his two pairs of vertical eyes. Lin En's pupils constricted as he got a clear look. He saw the ghostly giant hand relentlessly chasing him from behind. It was connected to the monster by an arm that kept growing, ignoring the barrier of the ground, because it was also in an evil spirit form. The giant hand could hurt him even through the cloak. And Lin En could see it all. One of the monster's eyes on the ground was locked onto him, tracking his every move. Crap! Lin En cursed under his breath. The tables had turned in an instant. The advantage he'd had with the cloak was now his biggest liability. He couldn't attack while wearing it, not even shoot, but that hand could attack him. Gotta shake that hand. Lin En gritted his teeth, his eyes darting around. Then, his gaze landed on the Bloodsaw pharmacy. Without hesitation, using his 4 tentacles for extra speed, he dove underground and burst into the store. Swoosh, he ripped off the cloak. Like a spider, Lin En scurried up the wall using his tentacles, then launched himself into the attic where he slept. Got it. Lin En yanked open a cabinet door, his eyes falling on the half-full shelf of potions, but at the same moment, under Lin En's evil spirit vision, the evil spirit's hand smashed through the ground and lunged directly for him in the attic. Unimpeded, Lin En's eyes narrowed. He instantly raised his boning knife, the sharp blade flashing, and with a swoosh, he hacked the shelf of potions to pieces. The green liquid splashed all over him, staining the scarlet boning knife. Son of a... Every muscle in his body tensed. He gripped the knife with both hands, putting all his strength into it. Then, he stabbed at the floor beneath him. Almost simultaneously, the screaming evil hand punched through the floor, and the potion-soaked blade plunged into the giant hand's palm. Sizzle sizzle sizzle. A series of dissolving sounds erupted as the giant hand emitted a baby-like shriek. Squeak. Squeak. The potion acted like sulfuric acid, rapidly dissolving the skin of the evil hand. Evil spirit appearance potion. Another potion developed by his teacher, designed to allow physical beings to interact with evil spirits and ghosts. As an apprentice, he had prepared a ton of this stuff. Facing all sorts of customers, you had to be ready for anything. And now, the potion was finally paying off. Puff! Lin En yanked the boning knife free and slashed at the arm with all his might. Puff! A shelf of potions crashed to the floor, the sticky liquid splattering everywhere. The evil spirit's arm slammed into the wall. It twisted and crackled, smoking as if burned. Lin En panted, not hesitating for a moment. He immediately reached for the remaining potions in the cabinet. He knew he couldn't stay here. He had to. Puff! The sound of piercing flesh. Lin En's pupils dilated, his throat bulging. Behind him, on the floor covered in green potion, a thin hand emerged, piercing straight through the back of his neck and grabbing his spine. Scarlet blood dripped to the floor. The vertical eye on the back of Lin En's neck trembled. He recognized that hand. It was the fairy's hand. He remembered why the fairy had come to the pharmacy. She'd said she'd encountered a giant and nearly had her head bitten off, escaping only by sacrificing an arm, so, the giant she met was, *it star, and that meant that after the monster devoured her arm, it had developed a strong resistance to the potion. This ordinary potion had no effect on that hand at all. Despair. A wave of despair washed over him. But as the hand was about to break his spine, Lin En roared and forced all the blood in his body into his 4 tentacles, puff, 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 star. Puff, 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 star. His 4 tentacles instantly wrapped around and impaled the small hand gripping his spine under his intense control, click, star. Even so, his spine cracked, but Lin's final counterattack worked. The hand slackened under the tentacle's grip, seizing the last chance. Lin ripped himself free, he spun around, the boning knife flashed, poof, star. The arm and his 4 tentacles were severed in one stroke. The small hand hit the floor hard, but it still crawled, still shrieked. Lin gritted his teeth and used his last strength to pin it to the floor with the sharp knife. Then, he collapsed in front of the cabinet. He didn't even have time to use the flesh regeneration potion. He could see the monster returning to the pharmacy door through his evil vision. The situation was critical. At this last moment, Lin reached out his blood-covered hand and grabbed his biggest trump card from his pocket, Heart of the Faceless Demon. The monster's image instantly flashed through Lin En's mind, his evil spirit eyes glaring at the monster downstairs. "Let's have some fun," that he said fiercely, squeak, star. In an instant, his fingers plunged into it, and a dark, violent current poured out like a spring. It felt as if countless evil spirits were screaming in his heart. Almost instantly, downstairs, the huge monster froze in place, the giant eyeball on its body shrinking. It was as if the core of its being had suffered an unimaginable blow. Snap, star. Snap, star. Snap, star. The painted pupils on its body exploded, the arms sprouting from it went haywire, twisting and tearing at its own body. Faces erupted all over its bloated form, screaming and creating bulges as if something was trying to burst out. The core of the heart, affected by an unknown force. Sacred resistance failing, evil spirit perception failing, cell restraints weakening, curse restraints weakening. Initiating emergency repair, countdown. 20, 19, 18. Chapter 59 Highest Priority Devouring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Attic, at the last second, as paralysis set in and his nerves fried, Lin gritted his teeth and forced open a flesh regeneration potion. The instant the liquid hit his palm, the spinal damage made him lose control of his body, but the medicine worked fast, rapidly repairing the damaged tissue. 20 seconds, please, don't let it be too late. His gaze fell on the Heart of the Faceless Demon. Beside him, this cursed object was powerful, a real trump card. Still, even with such a broken item, he couldn't kill that monster. The heart was now completely black, while powerful. Such a strong curse had unimaginable side effects. Crash. A massive sucking force pulled from the heart. Lin felt the blood in his veins boil. Then, the heart cracked open and slammed onto his chest. Thump, thump. It began to beat, drawing all the blood in his body to it. As it sucked his blood, the heart turned blood red. It looked like a beating blood tumor on his chest. Double whammy. The flesh regeneration potion sensed the rapid blood loss and kicked into overdrive. The two forces locked in a stalemate, but Lin knew, if he didn't recover quickly, he was dead in 20 seconds. Eyes bloodshot, he muttered, "Come on. Mutate. Mutate." Now, his only hope was the mutation from the potion. The spinal damage had severed control of his limbs. He desperately needed new ones. Finally, the system chimed in, ding. Your body has a 3rd-level mutation. Almost instantly, Lin's left eye popped out. A long, scarlet snake squeezed out of the socket. Ding. Mutation analysis in progress. Ding. Warning. Your current constitution and will cannot completely control this mutation. Target control efficiency, 31%. Level 3 mutation, brain snake. A flesh and blood snake spawned from the brain. With extreme bloodlust, Lin felt the mutant's overwhelming bloodlust, which even infected his own brain. 31% efficiency. Gotta try. Focusing every ounce of energy, he fought to control the snake writhing from his eye. As the snake thrashed, Lin finally forced its huge jaws onto the second bottle of flesh regeneration potion at his waist. Click, the bottle shattered, splashing the scarlet liquid across him. At the same time, he lost control of the brain snake, and it began to writhe wildly. Smelling blood, it snapped its jaws onto the faceless demon heart, clinging to Lin's chest. Blood splattered. The two entities instantly clashed. The brain snake tore at the heart, which retaliated by spawning microscopic flesh and blood, wrapping around the snake in an attempt to consume it. Paralyzed, Lin stared at the absurd scene, gasping, brain versus heart. This could only happen in this dark world, yet, the struggle between the heart and brain snake eased the heart's rapid consumption of blood. The flesh regeneration potion quickly began repairing his spine. I might have enough time. Downstairs, the wildly thrashing limbs stilled. The monster's massive, unblinking eyes flickered. The tissues in its body began to twitch. Core repair complete, commencing body tissue takeover. Target threat index adjusted, extremely high. Target devouring value adjusted, highest priority. Initiating hunt. Buzz, its eye glowed red and snapped up, fixing on the ceiling. In an instant, the monster crashed through the ceiling into the attic. Its gaze swept the blood-splattered walls and floor, but Lin was gone. Target lock, highest priority devouring, activating evil spirit vision. One of its eyeballs suddenly became unreal, then, it spun and leaped out. Billowing black fog filled the streets. Lin, cloaked and staggering, stumbled along the street. The brain snake battled the heart, but the potion had repaired his spine enough for him to regain control. He gritted his teeth. Fierce resolve flared, and he ran towards number 44, the monster would never stop hunting him. If he wanted to live, he had to seek help from another level haunted house. He broke through the fog, and a slender figure came into view. In the distance, a faint humming sound. A woman in a blood-red dress, holding a baby in her arms with a slight smile, walked slowly towards him, covered in blood, casually holding 3 heads skewered with straws. The blood-clothes evil spirit spotted Lin and stopped. The pharmacy brat, surprised, she noticed the blood, the broken tentacles, and the snakes coming out of his eyes. Looking different today, huh? Some kind of strange performance art, honey. She stopped beside him, cradling the cute baby, and eyed him up and down. Lin gasped, wiping blood from his face. He grinned. Yeah, something like that. Your curse hasn't cleared up. Why weren't you at my place tonight? The blood-clothes evil spirit touched her scarlet lips, seductive. Can't wait, huh? Missing yesterday's gentle touch. She smiled. Lin's blood-covered appearance seemed to appeal to her. Not at home. Lin glared. She raised the 3 heads and sweetly touched her face, cocking her head. Yes, such a headache. My daughter's growing up. If she doesn't get proper nutrition, she'll be stunted. As a mother, I have to do it myself. Ola. The baby wiggled his ears and slurped one of the heads. Lin sanity -10. The blood-clothes evil spirit smiled and said, tell me, sweetheart. Run into something you can't handle? Otherwise, you wouldn't be so anxious to see your sister, right? Chapter 60. It's not easy to deal with, hehe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin En tore his gaze from the 3 heads in her hands, his face hardening. He sighed. Yeah, I ran into some trouble. Big trouble. I tried handling it myself, but as you can see. He gestured helplessly. I lost, like, a gallon of blood. The blood-clothed evil spirit chuckled. So, our little evil pharmacist has problems he can't solve, huh? Lin En steadied the snake wriggling in his eye socket. Yup. So, let's make a deal. I know you're crazy strong. If you help me take out this monster that's after me, how about I waive your bill for 5 months? It's a steal, one-time offer only. The blood-clothed evil spirit just kept smiling, not moving an inch. If you're being hunted, why are you standing here shooting the breeze? Aren't you freaking out? Lin En rubbed his temples. Would freaking out fix anything? That just made her smile wider. Behind him, the roiling, blood-colored fog kept rolling closer. Boom, boom, the noise was deafening, like an earthquake. Warning. Warning. Crisis approaching rapidly. Warning. Warning. Crisis approaching rapidly. But Lin En didn't budge. Meeting her smiling eyes, he finally let out a breath. Okay, fine. You name your price. What do you want? I can't believe you actually want me to die, right? That the blood-clothed evil spirit grinned. Looks like the little scamp thinks he's got me figured out. But since you want me to haggle, I won't be shy. She flicked her tongue over her lip, leaned in close, and brushed her bright red lips against his cheek. The heady scent of blood filled Lin En's nostrils. You haven't surrendered to me yet, have you? That her voice was a devil's whisper. So come on, beg. Get on your knees, kiss my feet, tell me you're willing to surrender yourself to me, and then I'll help you out. The corner of her mouth twitched with amusement. Silence, the air crackled. Is that a come on? Lin En tilted his head, grinning. Nope. The blood-clothed evil spirit kept her smile fixed. This isn't the time for flirting. Silence, the rumbling grew louder, then, Lin En's mouth curved up. Later. He clapped her on the shoulder and walked right past her, pulling up the hood of his blood cloak. He looked like a creature of the night, disappearing into the black fog down the street. If you're still open for business tomorrow morning, I'll get rid of that curse for you. And, hey, maybe even give you a discount. He winked, flashing a bright smile at the baby in her arms, who turned his head curiously. Then, he vanished into the fog. No explanation, no reply. It was like the question didn't even need answering. The blood-clothed evil spirit just stood there, staring after him. She looked a little stunned, a little amused, and, well, maybe even a little impressed. That guy. She rubbed her forehead, a hint of helplessness on her face. He really is. Puff. A tentacle shot into the black fog and yanked Lin En back. Before he could react, the blood-clothed evil spirit had him in a crushing hug, burying his face in her massive chest. Too cute. Ding. Blood-clothed evil spirit's favorability towards you +10. Ding. Blood-clothed evil spirit's favorability towards you +10. Just kidding. Just kidding. Figures the guy who can break my sister's curse would be manly sometimes. And that smile? Hot. I love a guy who can be tough when it counts. It just brings out my maternal instincts. Greater than over equal to 4 all less than over equal to asterisk. Love it. Love it. Goo goo. The baby shook his straw. The blood-clothed evil spirit squeezed Lin En's head, her face full of happy, doting affection. He was like a doll to her. As she rocked him back and forth, Lin En was like a dinghy caught in a storm, struggling against the force of her chest. Finally, he managed to gasp for air. What are you doing? Helping. Crisis level 90%. Crisis level 100%. Lin En finally wrenched his face free, and that's when he saw the chest ripping open, revealing rows of sharp spikes and writhing tentacles. Her cheeks were split in two by a horrifying grin. You. Asterisk crash, star. Instantly, countless black tentacles erupted from her body, plunging into the ground like vines. The earth cracked as the tentacles wrapped around boulders with ease, turning the entire street into a web of writhing limbs. Asterisk boom, star. A series of violent cracks, dozens of thunderous booms. The catapulted boulders slammed into the blood mist, momentarily halting the monster. As the mist cleared, the grotesque flesh puppet emerged, its enormous vertical pupils locking onto Lin En and the blood-clothed evil spirit. Target confirmed, commencing hunt. High-intensity secondary target interference detected, information analysis. Race, evil spirit aggregate, consumption priority, high, strength analysis, high. Lin En stared in disbelief. The blood-clothed evil spirit, smiling, handed the baby to Lin En and glided forward. Her long, pale fingers sprouted half-meter-long black nails dripping with blood. Her hair twisted into a swarm of venomous, human-faced snakes. Asterisk snap, star. When she looked up, she was a twisted demon, her eyes wild with joy and madness. Lin, You have picked a tough monster to mess with this time, hehehe. Her mouth was split to her ears, her long nails dangling before her, as she shuffled forward, emitting a horribly deranged laugh. Lin En gawked, clutching the baby and scrambling backwards. Be careful. That thing's no joke. Don't underestimate it. Lin En quickly shared what he knew, outlining the monster's abilities and weaknesses. No joke, hehehe, no joke. The blood-clothed evil spirit's smile grew even more twisted. She swayed back and forth, the curse on her body seemed to be taking physical form, and even Lin En, standing behind her, felt a wave of chilling madness.